Morning, everyone.
Thank you, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Morning, Nick. Morning, Charlotte.
Hi, Julie.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here with interim head coach Nick Cushing to preview the Subway Women's League Cup final tomorrow. We will start with questions in the room. Emma Sanders. Oh, sorry. Sunny. Do you want to go? Sorry.
That's right, you go.
Hi Nick, Sandy Rudge-Vagila from Sky Sports News. Why come back?
I think I came out of New York in October. Since then, I've been having some real positive conversations with leadership here at CFG, and you know, I've been here a very long time, so my relationships with the leadership are, you know, I'm really close with people here. So I was having conversations over the time about, you know, staying involved with the group and taking up a new role, a coaching role. You know, I want to be on the grass coaching, and early in the week this opportunity came up, and it's a really good challenge for me.
On that coaching side, Steph Horton said you're the best coach she's ever worked with. Similarly, Nikita Paris. Kira Walsh says you always knew the right thing to say at the right moment. Got that quote right. There's a lot of positivity coming your way from ex-players. How much of that do you want to bring to this side?
Yeah, I think you know, I spent 7 amazing years here previously, fighting for trophies and, you know, trying to create a team that Manchester City fans could be proud of. And, you know, going over to New York and representing the group in New York and leading the team there was an amazing experience, an amazing challenge, and developed me in many, many ways. And, you know, having the opportunity to come back for our organisation and try and create another winning team, try and continue the great work that's been done here. You know, the most amazing thing about our organisation is the people here, and the previous teams that I've had, with Nikita and Kira and you know, Steph, and they were great people. And you know, I met the team here this week, and it's exactly the same. The group of girls in there are really, really good people with a real hunger to continue to win.
How much of your role do you see from that pastoral side, looking after the players and everything else that's going on around them?
Yeah, I think that's coaching, right? I think sometimes we get bogged down in tactic board and, you know, trying to win game plans. I think coaching, whether you're in a men's team or women's team, it's about people, and it's about developing people, and it's about you know, supporting people, and it's about challenging people. So this is no different, right? You know, it's a little bit more complex because you're coming in mid-season, but you know, the thing that I'm confident about is I did this in 2022 in New York. I took the interim head coach there from Ronnie, and we got ourselves to a final. So I'm confident in my ability as a coach, and when I look at around the dressing room, I'm confident that we can be competitive.
And on one specific player, Bunny Shaw's had a lot going on off the field. How much can you do to help her get back to her best?
Yeah, I met Bunny on Tuesday, and she's a great character, a really good person. You know, she has a real desire to win for Manchester City. So, you know, I personally will give her whatever she needs. We will support her in any way that she needs. We just want her to get back doing what she does best, and that's scoring goals, right? And there's no better occasion than Saturday to start there.
And finally from me, is it weird starting with a cup final?
It's a good challenge, right? We're playing against the best team in the league. We're playing in an amazing stadium with an opportunity to win. And you know, I've always said in my career that we won this cup was, you know, called something different. We won it. It was my first trophy in 2014, and since that moment, I've been obsessed with winning trophies. So to have the opportunity to win another one for this group and for this organisation is enough motivation.
Thank you, Sunny. Emma.
Nick, nice to see you back. How does it feel? Tell us your emotions. What was it like walking into training?
Yeah, it was really strange, actually. You know, because of COVID and because of the way that the leagues don't really sync up, MLS to WSL, every time I came home in previous years, there wasn't really any games on. So I haven't been here that much. So to come here on Tuesday and walk through the building and see familiar faces, but also a lot of new faces, and see the familiar sort of facility, but it also has changed a lot. You know, it was really comforting, but it also was a bit strange. So I'm just really excited, right? You know, I said to the players, if I didn't believe in the group, and I didn't believe this was going to be an exciting challenge, I wouldn't have took it. So, yeah, it's I'm really happy to be here.
Is it fair to say you're jumping in at the deep end? 4 games against Chelsea, that's not an easy task.
It's definitely not. But if I reflect on my career, in 2014, when I took the women's team in the WSL, my first game was Liverpool, the champions, live on BT Sport, and I'd come from the under-12s boys. So I then went over to New York, and we won the championship in 2021, and all of a sudden I was head coach in 2022 of the champions. So I think I've been able to take these moments in my stride. I've had some real good mentors and some real good advice over times, and I just had some right before this press conference that was, listen, just go and enjoy it. It's a great challenge. I think as coaches, we want to create our teams and we want to prepare our teams to go against the best, and the next 4 games are the ultimate challenge for our group, so we've got to embrace it and attack it.
Is that advice for the press conference or for the games? I'm joking.
Attack the press conference was definitely advice.
If you were to lift the trophy on Saturday, where would that rank, do you think, in your achievements with City, given the context of everything this week, the short turnaround, you coming in, etc.?
It would be definitely an achievement in the sense of, coming in. But, it's the group. It's about the group. The group. I said to the group, in my opinion of winning leagues and trophies and being in winning positions, it's about getting there. And I couldn't give this group enough praise for getting where they've got, Of course, the league position is not ideal, and it's not where probably we set it out to be at the start and where we would really want it to be at this stage of the season. But the reality is we're in all 4 competitions, and the Champions League place is still achievable. So I'm not going to get caught up on winning on Saturday because the next game's right around the corner.
Just finally for me, team news, can you give us an update on where the squad's at?
Yeah, everyone's available apart from the long-term injured. So, obviously Lauren Hemp, Alex Greenwood are still out. But apart from that, the whole group has been out on the training pitch yesterday. And, I've got to pick a team for a cup final.
How close are Alex and Lauren?
I don't know the complete detail because, with 4 days prep for a cup final, I've had some surface. And I think they have a desire to play before the end of the season, but I'm not here confirming that they're going to play. There's a lot of time before that, but I think you've seen Alex is on the grass, so that's a huge positive. I had Lauren previously, so she's got a huge desire to be in the team before the end of the season, but we just got to trust our medical staff.
Thanks, Nate. All the best.
Thank you.
Hi, Nick. Charlotte from The Athletic. Nice to meet you. What were your key targets this week, given the short turnaround? What messages did you want to get through to the players?
Yeah, I think we've got to embrace that we're a good team. We've got to understand that although change sometimes brings instability and sometimes brings confusion and sometimes brings a little bit of apprehension, we've got to fall back on the fact that we are in all 4 competitions, that we are in a Champions League quarter-final, we are in a League Cup final and an FA Cup semi-final, and the desire and the hunger to get into the Champions League again next year has to be the driving factor. I've said all along to all my teams, I have to have players and people around me with real hunger and real ambition and a real belief that we can continue to be competitive and win. So that's all I want to see. We have got a very good team that's won some really big games this year. And collectively, we just got to keep attacking every situation.
You mentioned that you've been in conversation with the leadership group since your departure from New York around late November. And you said earlier in the week this opportunity came up. Can you just clarify when City made contact regarding this specific job?
Yeah, it was earlier in the week. Of course, listen, I've been through the process, right? So when a coach gets fired, it's not a great situation for that coach. I say it because I've experienced it now. My remit is looking forwards, right? The brief is really simple. We have to qualify for the Champions League. Now, what went on before the start of the week is not my remit, and ultimately I don't need the detail in that. What I need is the detail in what have we got in the dressing room and what do we need moving forwards, and it's pretty simple. We start with the cup final.
So earlier in the week, it was literally this week? that we just had? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And just for the record, it says interim until the end of the season. Is that you and done and not continuing after that, or is that TBC? Where are you at with how long you would like to stay at Manchester City Women's?
This is definitely till the end of the season. I think for us it would be crazy to look any further than the end of the season based off the games that we've got coming up, right? I think for me, one thing I've been really clear on since I came out of New York is that my development in this organisation has been the one thing that has continued to give me the hunger and the desire to keep improving football players. I went from the boys' academy to the women's team. I went from the women's team to New York as the assistant coach and then as the head coach. And those conversations for me are about continuing my experiences. And I think to have new experiences as coaches is something that will continue to develop you.
And would the presumption be that you return to the men's game?
Listen, I'll be really honest with you. When I was in the boys' academy, I was working under 12s and under 13s as an assistant coach, and I never thought I would coach in the women's game. And then when I was winning trophies in the women's game, I didn't even know any teams in the MLS, and I landed in the MLS. So one piece of advice I give coaches all the time is you never know what's around the corner.
So the door's open to any opportunity?
Always.
And lastly, logistics, time difference. You're in New York. It's not easy to keep across the WSL. How much have you been watching it and attuned with the opposition?
Yeah, I've always watched our team here because I have a real emotional attachment to Manchester City Women, right? It was, if you go through my timeline, my daughter was born on the Conti Cup final in 2016, right? We were in this stadium here and went to extra time, and she was literally born 5 minutes after I got to the hospital after we lifted the trophy. So for me, it's about just making sure that today, tomorrow is. I don't overlook things and overcomplicate things.
Super. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Charlotte. We'll go to Zoom now. Dan?
Hi, Nick. Hope you're well. You mentioned your emotional attachment there. I just wonder, in terms of the competition and what Chelsea have achieved, Emma Hayes lifting trophy after trophy in recent years, does that kind of hurt you a little bit? Does that kind of upset you, given what you achieved the first time around?
No, I said before when Emma was announced as the US Women's National Team that those challenges, those teams that she created, those seasons where, one of my biggest, I don't say disappointments, one of my biggest regrets was that we didn't win more leagues with our team in Manchester City Women. But that was down to the fact that Emma's Chelsea's teams were top, right? And this team is no different. You can see with the points that they have at the top of the league, with their form that they've got, that this is going to be an incredibly difficult game on Saturday. And we know we play them 4 times, but we have to focus on Saturday's game. And what went on in the past went on in the past. This is a different Manchester City team. It's also a different Chelsea team. So we just got to focus on looking forwards.
And just going back to that 2014 final, if I remember it, I think it was a cold Wednesday night, probably half full stadium. Obviously tomorrow's completely different. So yeah, kind of how different is it? Kind of does the preparation change based on what the challenge is in the modern day? Kind of what's the comparisons and differences between 2014 and this year's final?
Yeah, I think we've spoken consistently across the women's game that the development of the game has been incredible, and there is a lot of people on field and off field that have contributed. You guys in the room and on the Zoom have played a huge part in the development of the game, and I think going to finals, if I look back, 2014, I agree, was totally different to what Saturday's going to look like, but 2014 was also different to my FA Cup final in 2017 and my FA Cup final in 2019, and the more fans we have in the stadium, the more pressure on the game, the more competitive, the better it is for me. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be an amazing occasion on Saturday, and I think 2 teams are going to have a real hunger to win. So, for everybody watching, me included, I think it's going to be a real good occasion.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Nick. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Amy?
Hi, Nick. Welcome back. Just to clarify, and you said that everybody is available apart from the long-term injuries. Rebecca Knaak and Alba Fagino are both fit for the weekend?
Rebecca Knaak won't be fit, but Alba will be.
Okay, cool, thank you. And yeah, I guess on that, Alba's had I don't know how much you've caught being over in the US, like you've just said, but Alba's had an amazing first season here. How much of a boost is it to kind of get her back in the forward line before these 4 games?
Yeah, to go back to the question before, I'm obsessed with the game, right? So I've got an emotional attachment to Manchester City women, but I also love how competitive the WSL is. And over in America, the WSL is on Paramount, and you know, I watch the NWSL as well because I've got friends that work in the league. So, you know, I've followed the women's game alongside the men's game because I love football, and to me, it's watching football. So, Alba's been top this year. I think you can see, you know, not just Alba. I think Mary Fowler. I think Jess Park. I think, you know, Bunny Shaw. Our attacking players. We have a real threat with our attacking players. That will be the most difficult part of my job, right? Is trying to pick the blend and balance of Jill and Viv and Alba and Jess and Mary, and you know, Carolyn has really impressed me this week in training. So for me, it's about trying to blend and balance a front line that will cause Chelsea a threat, whilst also having, you know, a slight eye on the Champions League, because you know the Champions League game is going to be difficult. So, you know, the good thing for me is I've got a top group of staff there that are filling in the gaps that maybe I don't know about personalities and about characters and about, you know, who can put 2 games in a week together. So we've worked through that. They've worked incredibly hard over the last 3 days to help me, and I really appreciate that.
And just, sorry, just a quick one. Naomi Lazelle, her game time's been a little bit limited lately. I just wanted to check on her fitness. She's all good for the weekend.
Yeah, for us, it's we got selection from a really competitive squad. So, like I say, we would love to have Rebecca, we'd love to have Lauren, and we'd love to have Alex in the group. They're not, but everybody else is fighting for a spot.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. Good luck.
Thanks, Amy. Kit?
Hi Nick, Kit Shepherd from The Times, nice to meet you. I know you said you want a focus on looking forward, but I suppose you need to look back to an extent to work out where the team can improve. So why essentially do you think the team's maybe lost its way a little bit in the last few weeks and months, and what problems do you maybe need to solve in this short-term tenure?
I'd love to have Lauren Hemp and Alex Greenwood back, but I think there's been some key injuries at key points. I think, you know, you can see where there's been, you know, whether it's senior pros or real high impact players missing in key spots, and I think that is a real important thing to look at. Is maybe in those moments the performances have been inconsistent, or maybe the results have been inconsistent. But I've said before, we can't overlook the fact that we are in all 4 competitions, and you know, I've said before, my belief in winning is that you have to be there at the end. The hardest part is to be there at the end, and we're there, right? So we've got to take confidence out of that, and we've got to make sure that. And I think naturally, when you change coaches have different styles and different ideas. It's not better or worse. It's not, you know, I'm going to do this or he used to do that. I think it's just different, right? And I think my personality and my character is what I use a lot to try and improve and try and prepare my teams, and that will be no different here.
And how does how is your coaching style perhaps influenced by the fact that this is an interim arrangement compared to, say, if you'd signed a long-term contract?
I don't look at it like that, in the sense of, you know, I've got a clear brief of what the organisation wants to achieve with the women's team, so I know what my target is. I'm really confident in the group of players that we have, and I'm also really confident in my own ability and my own character and personality, like I say. So I'm just going to be myself. I think it's about looking at Chelsea in these initial games, and it's about making sure we prepare the team for that. And I think we're in a spot where we've got to take it as one game at a time, because they are really isolated games, right? We're jumping from competition to competition. And then once we move into that period of league games, then we'll look at it maybe more in a block of games, because we have to put points together to chase minimum that third spot.
And just finally from me, as a coach, how do the challenges and opportunities offered by men's football and women's football differ? Kind of what makes one distinct from the other?
I don't see it like that. I get that, you know, as somebody that's worked across the women's and men's game, I get asked that all the time. You know, what's the difference between the men's and the women's game? And, you know, I'll be really honest, I really struggle to answer that in a real set way, because for me, coaching is about people. And I think you have to deal with the people that you have in front of you, and you have to make sure that you support and you challenge and you improve and you develop whoever you have in front of you. And I've always done that, right? Whether it's in the boys' academy here, whether it's in New York with the men, or whether it's with Manchester City women. And, you know, I have a keen eye on the girls' academy and always have here as well. So for me, it's about developing people. And the one thing that I think I have experienced is great challenge in the sense of coaching in the WSL to coaching in America, because America is very different. And I think that's developed me as a coach. I think having to deal with time zones and having to deal with different climates and having to deal with, you know, very complex travel has been an amazing experience in developing my ability to coach and to manage people.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kit. Rachel?
Hi, Nick. Welcome back. Just one question for me. I wanted to ask you, coming up to this final, the whole focus has been that how difficult it is that these teams are playing each other 4 times in 12 days. I guess for you, coming in interim quickly, you only have one opposition, I guess, to focus on. And within 12 days, you've gotten your feet wet within the League Cup, the Champions League and the WSL. Does that allow you maybe to focus a little bit more on your players and understanding your team without having to, say, prep for 3 or 4 different oppositions?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Yeah, I totally agree. It does. I have the ability in the short term to just get to know one group of opposition players, and what I think will be really fascinating is for you guys watching outside of both teams is how the games will be different, how the teams will evolve and change throughout the 4 games, how the approach of each individual team might change, the lineups might rotate or change. I think that will be fascinating, and I suppose the challenge for us inside the coaching staff and the performance teams is to try and predict that and see ahead and try and look into the crystal ball and see, irrelevant of the result on Saturday, what the best preparation, what the best scouting report, what the best sort of observation will be of what type of Chelsea that we're going to play. So I think for me as a coach, that's a real exciting thing to go through.
Great, thank you. Best of luck.
Thanks very much, Rachel. Any more questions from the room? No? Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Nick. Nice to see you.
See you on
That's
Saturday.
it. Thank
At least you only got one climate to deal with.